Yeah, hi there. These comments are for 4678. This is Michael. I am the founder, owner, and the materials writer for the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, and I am your English 106 instructor here at California State University, San Bernardino. Guess what? I got your paper right here, and I want to talk about it. Okay, so let me go ahead and number the different paragraphs because I may be referring to things in paragraphs. Okay, looks like you have 7, 8, we have 9, and we have 10. Alright, so let's get started. Now, one of the things that you want to try to do, which is difficult, is to organize your project around a coherent thing. Now, there's 3 parts to the writing assignment. You'll notice when I refer to it in the syllabus, I refer to it as a project singular. Now, you start off with the book review first, and then you get into your book review, and then you get into the letter after that. But you're not really unifying all 3 parts of the writing assignment within a single paragraph. So what if you used a paragraph in the beginning that announced, that kind of let the reader know that you were going over, you were addressing the nature of book reviews, you're doing a book review and then a condensed version of that. That would help link everything together. So instead of having 3 separate projects, you got one unified writing project. So something to think about. Okay. Okay, I don't want to look at the, okay, so your first paragraph, you say, a book review serves many purposes for the potential reader. It gives them an inside look at what the book is about, how it was received, and how well or horrible it was written. Okay, so be careful. You have a comma splice in that very first sentence. That means you're joining 2 separate sentences with a comma. Stop that. That's not going to work very well, but you know, it's just as you get used to writing, but you definitely don't want to have too many problems with sentence formation. But the paragraph is clear. Paragraph 2, the readers who will be looking at my book review would be those interested not only in the history of fallen societies, but also the effects of environmental problems. So you define your audience. I think you do that effectively. Your third paragraph, you talk about your purpose. Your purpose for writing the book is to give readers who take an interest on what's going on around the world and how society is on the verge of collapse an opinion of what you thought of the book, and if this book is something that they should or shouldn't read. So it sounds pretty good there. Now the next thing, paragraph 4. So now we're introducing, I think, the book review part of the writing assignment. You say the book I will critique is Collapse, How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed, a nonfiction genre by Jared Diamond, which is written about the different factors that come into play when deciding whether an individual society ultimately fail or succeed, and how future societies can learn from their mistakes and not collapse themselves. So you have Diamond's credibility is shown. So you don't really have a thesis, though. That's interesting. So what if you start off in your first paragraph of your book review, you say, I plan to evaluate this book in terms of its relevance, the argument the writer is making, the tone the writer uses, and also the structure. If you evaluate it in terms of those 3 or 4 key points, then it becomes much easier for you to structure your body paragraphs, because remember, to have a unified paragraph, you want to have a purpose. You want to have a specific idea stated in the topic, and then the appropriate details and reasons support that. So I think that's important. Now, I find something quite interesting here is if you're talking about the book, it's not possible to talk about the book without acknowledging or citing the information that you're using. That means you need to use in-text citations. It doesn't matter 4, 6, 7, 8, whether you're summarizing points from the book, whether you're paraphrasing them or directly quoting them, you should include in-text citations in there to help us keep track of where this information is coming from. You have your voice. Your voice is the critique. You're explaining what you don't like or what you like or dislike about the book, and then you have to pull from the book to help support what your evaluation is. So as you're pulling information from the book, that's where you include your citations. Does that make sense? Now, to make better sense of it, find an MLA research paper online, type in the keyword sample MLA research paper. I want you to take a look at how other writers introduce information. How do they do it when they're paraphrasing, when they're summarizing, or when they're quoting? Do you notice, for example, they have parentheses after the summary or the paraphrase? It might say Jones, 50, maybe. So when you take a look at a sample paper, it's going to give you some idea on how you can handle that. So the purpose, it looks like you're talking about Diamond's credibility, and it looks like you have that. The second sentence of the paragraph is shown by many degrees that attribute to his qualification, such as he developed a career in environmental history, holding the current position of professor of geography at UCLA. Now my question is, where are you getting this information? This is not common knowledge information. This is information that you have found maybe by reading information from the internet. You might be using information from the book itself, but either case, you do need to cite and give the credit to where this is coming from. But Michael, this is not a quote, you may say. It doesn't matter. We use in-text citations when we paraphrase, summarize, and when we quote. We do it in all three cases. Okay, let's go to your next paragraph. Paragraph 5. Collapse deals with the idea that societies either collapse or succeed based on 5 main factors. Now, that doesn't work well for an evaluation. Now, why is that? Because you start the paragraph with a topic sentence that states a fact. It doesn't make any kind of an argument. So then, it sounds like you're explaining the book. You're not arguing whether it's effective or not effective. So it's better to make sure that your topic sentences in those body paragraphs are making assertions, and of course you defend that assertion in the body part of that particular paragraph. So if I look at paragraph 5, it really is summary. You're explaining the contents of the book. You're not really giving any kind of evaluation of the book. Okay, let's go to paragraph 6. The purpose of Diamond's collapse was for the readers to learn from history so that the future generations would not make the same mistakes that the various societies are mentioned. He presents this idea of wanting his readers to learn. He does this in the final 3 chapters. Again, is he effective? Is the purpose, does the writer effectively communicate this purpose to the audience? Why or why not? So if you took that topic, you might say the writer of Diamond's collapse effectively communicates his purpose to his audience. And then you can explain what the purpose is, but more importantly, why it's effective, how it's effective. To me, that's going to get more to a higher level of thinking than just explaining what the book's talking about. You're going the easy way out. You're telling me what the book is about, but you're not really giving me an opinion or an evaluation of the book. Remember that our next writing assignment involves summarizing the book, but you're already doing that here, which is, we don't want to get to that here. That's a different type of writing that I wasn't looking for. Okay, let's go to paragraph 7. You have Diamond's main argument is present in collapse with a structurally sound design. He uses several writing techniques in order to keep it structured and organized. The first thing the reader will notice is that Diamond not only divides a book, now we're talking. This I like. I think paragraph 7 is a good example of how you can restructure the rest of those body paragraphs. You are exactly getting into evaluation here. So I like what you're doing here. You give some examples. The only thing you're not doing, you're not including any in-text citations in there anywhere. So I have no idea what page numbers all this information is coming from. So you definitely want to go back and make sure you MLA format all those body paragraphs, which means you do need to include the in-text citations. Paragraph 8. You say, in each of these parts and chapters, Diamond uses several examples throughout. In fact, almost every chapter is about one example he uses to prove his main argument. Not only showing, so I think paragraph 8 is going in the right direction. You say he goes into detail describing the individual society. Why not give a quote there? Why are you so scared of quotes? You're not using any at all. What's the problem? I think you can use a quote, right? I think if you find a specific sentence from the book that you think is going to be really important in helping you illustrate why you think the detail is effective, why not use it? I mean, that helps make your evaluation stronger. It helps prove what you're saying because it gives me a chance to see something from the book. I haven't read the book, remember? You're the one who's read the book. You're explaining and evaluating it, but that using a quote in there could be very helpful. Then you get into paragraph 9. You have, one criticism I have about Diamond's collapse is that 2 of his examples used in it have had many experts argue its claim. So the first one being Diamond's proposition, don't forget your apostrophe S there, that second line of paragraph 9, is that the Easter Island Society had collapsed in isolation entirely due to environmental destruction. So then you talk about some other readers who argue against that, and still you're not using any in-text citations. I don't get it. I know you're using other people's ideas. Why don't you cite that using the appropriate MLA documentation? Right? So we've been around this block before, so you know what you're expected, what you need to do, right? So it's very important because once you follow the standards, for example, of MLA documentation, you now become a legitimate member of the academic discourse community of writing. But if you keep ignoring that and not doing that, you can't really call yourself a legitimate member because we've already agreed long before you were born, how we wanted to structure writing in this discipline. It isn't your responsibility to come into the discipline and try to change things and do them the way you want. It doesn't work that way very well. We try to work with what's already established and we try to get our writing to conform to how it's done, and that way other people can recognize how you're organizing your ideas. Okay, let's go to your paragraph 10. You have your conclusion. You enjoyed Diamond's collapse, how societies choose to fail or succeed. You have it transitions well from chapter to chapter. That's a sentence structure error. That's a comma splice in there. So, but conclusion's okay. And then you have the last part of the writing assignment, which is part 3. Okay, so I think the second part of the writing assignment, I think you need a clearer or a better structure, a more coherent organization to your ideas based on my comments right now. And I want to ask you, stop ignoring the in-text citation thing. You got to deal with this. I'd rather have you attempt it and make errors with it than totally avoid it altogether. Because if you want to be a legitimate member of this particular academic discourse community, you really need to get a handle on how you use your sources when you put them into your essay, because I feel that's a pretty big problem with your writing right now. Okay, so in conclusion, your paper needs a higher level of polish, a tighter organization, and it needs to be better MLA formatted. So I'm going to give you a 73 out of 100. So you got 2 choices. A, do nothing. Keep the grade you have. B, you can rewrite it. Go for a higher score. If you rewrite the essay, turn it in 7 days from the day that I hand it back. And what you want to do is write a cover letter before you give me the new draft, and then put in that cover letter, maybe it's a half a page or a page, put what changes you made in the new draft and why. So obviously I'm looking for all of those Intext citations in there. I'm looking for a better organization in the second part of the writing assignment. So you want to be sure that you address some of those things when you write that cover letter. Again, you can do nothing, keep the grade you have, or you can rewrite it for a higher score. Anyway,